Hey, what's up guys? It's Pedro here from noobcoder.com, and in this tutorial we're going to be going over what a linked list is, as well as creating our linked list and node class. So what a linked list is basically just a data structure. So if you take a look at this diagram, this is basically an example of a linked list. And a linked list is basically comprised of what we call nodes, and that's what this is right here. So we're going to create two classes. One is going to be a linked list, which is basically going to arrange our pointers around for our nodes. And the other class is just going to be the node itself. So let's take a look at the node. You can see that a node has two parts. One part is the data, and this data can be anything. It can be an int, a float, a double, a string, a custom object. It really doesn't matter. But the second part is the pointer to the next node. And that's basically how we link these nodes together in order to create one data structure called a linked list. So now let's take a look at the data members of our linked list class. So here we have a header, and header is a pointer, so it's represented by this box, and tail is also a pointer represented by this box. Now, header's responsibility, the way that we're going to be implementing our linked list, is to always point to the first node within our linked list. Tail's responsibility is always to point to the last node within our linked list. And we have a size data member, and this is to keep track of how many nodes are within our linked list. So now let's actually take a look at the code. Alright, so from here, let's start off with our node class. So I'm just going to say class node, and I'm just going to say public, and we're going to declare our data members int data and node, which is pointing to the next node. Now, I'm making these data members public just to make it a little bit easier while we're coding our linked list. If you want to declare it private and then use getters and setters, you can also do that. So now from here, what we're going to do is create our one argument constructor. I'm just going to say node, and it's going to take in a parameter of data. And I'm just going to say this arrow data is going to be equal to the data that the user passes in. And we're going to set next to be equal to null. Now, the whole idea behind this is that when linked list, the class that we're going to create after this, tries to append a node or prepend a node, and we're going to go into what prepending and appending means, that the linked list is going to be responsible for assigning what this pointer is going to be pointing to. Alright, so now from here, let's actually code our linked list class. So I'm just going to say class, and we're going to call it linked list. And I'm going to make its data members private. So I'm just going to say private. And I'm going to have the header, which is always pointing to the first node. I'm going to have the tail, which is always pointing to the last node. And I'm going to have the size, which keeps track of how many nodes are within our linked list. So now let's code our default constructor. And our default constructor is just going to initialize our variables for us. So I'm just going to say public, and I'm just going to say linked list, and this is a no argument constructor, so we're not going to pass in any parameters, and we're just going to set the header to point to null, the tail is going to be pointing to null, and we're going to set the size of our linked list to 0. Now, the last thing I want to code for our linked list within this tutorial is the getter for our size data member. I'm just going to come down here, and I'm just going to say int get size, and all it's going to do is return the size. So in the upcoming tutorials, we're going to start adding to our linked list. In this tutorial, all we did was really set up our linked list and our node class.